Hi guys, am I audible? If you're able to hear me, give a response in the chat box. I'll also get to know who all are there in today's session. Hi Gaurav. Good evening, Pranay. If you're there in the session, you can respond in the chat box so that I'll get to know who all are joining. Hi Sovraj, Vaidehi, Navam. Great. So people are coming in. So let's look at what our agenda is going to be for today. We have around 8 questions on critical reasoning. Some of them are questions which came in XAT in the previous years. Some of them are not questions which came in XAT, but good ones. So we're going to discuss them one by one. We're going to have a quiz that's going to run parallel to this. So if you're there in the live session, you will be able to take the quiz along with the session. If you're watching the recording, and if you're not there in the live session, of course, you cannot take the live quiz. In that case, you might have to just follow along with the video. You will also see the questions appearing on the video, so you can just follow along if you're watching the recording. If you're there in the live session, please do take the live quiz. You can click the first link you will find in the description here. Visit the dashboard, and you should be able to see under upcoming live quizzes, there is a quiz for critical reasoning, which is meant to go with today's session. So how the session is going to go is, we will attempt a we'll attempt a question in the quiz. We'll come back and discuss. We'll attempt, come back and discuss. So that's how it's going to go. We're also going to have a live leaderboard where you will see how well you're performing with respect to others for each and every question. So let's get started. So I'm going to start the quiz. If you haven't visited the quiz page yet, please visit the page. You can click the first link you see in the description to visit the quiz page. Okay, I'm starting the quiz, guys. The first question should be up in another 5-6 seconds. The first question is up in the quiz, and it's also up here on your screen. Another 15 seconds as per the timer that's running on the video. Okay, the time is up as per the video. Let's see what is the status of the leaderboard after you guys have attempted the first question. Awesome. Good number of you have got it right. And right now we have Pranay on top, followed by Triveni, Navam, Ravi Raman, Sharad, Pratyag, and Gandharva Kabir, and the rest of you guys. Very good. Let's see how we can approach this question. General Manager Marketing of the Monetary Herald, a bi-monthly financial magazine. He says, look at our new advertisement, sir. It says 65% of the subscribers of the Monetary Herald are top officials in multinational companies and 38% of the subscribers are millionaires. The sale of our magazine must go up by leaps and bounds now. The CEO says, yes, it will go up. Only one particular assumption of our prospective buyers is flawed. So the CEO says that if the prospective buyers make a particular flawed assumption, then they might end up becoming subscribers, right? Or buying the magazine. Now let's see which of the following flawed assumption is most likely to be the assumption that the CEO of the Monetary Herald talking about. So the options given are, they have to be the flawed assumption that someone watching the advertisement would have, someone would assume it wrongly and hence end up buying the paper. So we'll have to see which of the options could be the wrong assumption that a reader could have and end up buying the paper. Okay, now first let's try and understand this with a little bit of more detail. It is given, look at our advertisements, 65% of our subscribers of this particular bi-monthly are top officials and 38% of the subscribers are millionaires. So there are two kinds of people that we are speaking about here, right? So let me just put that down. So it says 60, let me just change this color. It's not very bright, especially when we are having a dark background. Okay, so it speaks of two kinds of people, right? One is 65% of them being top officials in multinational companies. So 65% of the subscribers are top officials in multinational companies. And the next data says 38% of the subscribers are millionaires. These are the key points in the advertisement, right? They are thinking on the basis of this, more people will end up buying. Okay, let's see. Let's look at the wrong assumption that a reader has to make to end up buying the magazine. Top managers cannot do their jobs properly without reading the Monetary Herald. So they'll have to assume that only when you read the Monetary Herald, you can perform well as a top manager. Now, even if that assumption is not made, if they make an assumption on the basis of the millionaire point, let's say they assume that if you read this paper, you have a very high chance of becoming a millionaire, even then they might end up buying the paper. So the top manager assumption need not be the wrong assumption that they have to make to buy the paper. They could even make, again, one could argue that top officials and top managers are not exactly same, but even if you're going to allow that, they need not make assumption about top managers. They could make assumption about millionaires and buy the paper. So this need not be an assumption that they should necessarily make to buy the paper. Let's look at the next one. Most millionaires mentioned in the advertisement were also top officials in multinational companies. So the reader has to make a wrong assumption that most of the millionaires are also top officials. So why would I buy? Okay, you are telling two sets of people. Some of them are top officials, some of them are millionaires. If there is a lot of overlap, what does that do to me to buy the paper or buy the magazine, right? So that need not be an assumption which will increase the sale in magazine. Okay. Next one. Only those who will in fact become millionaires or at least top officials will read the advertisement. Now that's an assumption the reader has to make. Even if the reader makes an assumption that only who will become millionaires will buy this, why will they buy that? I mean, if they know that they're definitely going to become millionaires, then they will not end up buying that itself. Okay, so something has to tell them that if you buy this particular magazine, you have a greater chance of becoming a millionaire. Then they might end up buying that. That's when this advertisement is actually working. Let's look at the next one. The subscribers mentioned were helped to become millionaires. Okay, if they make this wrong assumption that the subscribers mentioned here, whatever that 65%, 38% and all that, Okay, the subscribers mentioned were helped to become millionaires or join top management in multinational companies by reading the Monetary Herald. So if they make that assumption that by reading this magazine, it makes it easy for you, or the reading the magazine, the whole process helps you to become a millionaire or to get a top management position, then you might buy that. Okay, because reading this actually helps you in achieving what you want to achieve. So this might be the wrong assumption that the readers might make and end up buying the magazine. Let's look at the next one. The advertisement is placed where those who will be likely to read it are millionaires. That need not be an assumption that our readers will make. So the assumption that the readers could make, the wrong assumption that the readers could make and hence end up buying the paper is, if you buy this paper, it will help you to become millionaires or will help you to become top managers. So answer is option 4 for this question. Please type 4 if everybody is clear with why we are going with option 4 for this question. Perfect. Great. Before we move to the next question, as some of you might have joined us new today, please do like this video in case you like the way the session is going, and do subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel so that you will get updates on the live sessions that we do regularly. Great. Let's move to the next question, guys. Okay, for those who might have joined, after we move to the quiz, there is a quiz that goes parallel to this. Okay, you can click the first link that you see in the description only if you're there in the live session. If you're watching the recording, of course, the live quiz would have got expired. But if you're there in the live session, click the first link that you see here, and that will take you to a page. Just log in with Facebook. It will take you to a page where you'll see upcoming live quizzes. Click the one which says Critical Reasoning Live Quiz. We are going to question number 2, guys. Question number 2 is up in the quiz. It is also up on your screen here. Okay, the time is up. Let's see the status of the leaderboard at the end of this question. We still have Pranay on top, followed by Triveni, Gandharva, Kabir, Navam, Raviraman, Sharat, and so on. Let's see how we can approach this one. The government has introduced a new financial law for indiscriminate cuts in the union budget. What do you mean by indiscriminate? Random cuts. I mean, you did not have specific reasons for why you're going for a particular cut. Okay. Indiscriminate cuts in the union budget. The opposition parties and a few NGOs have vehemently protested against the law, but its provisions are definitely justified. That's what the author of the paragraph feels. Rebellious opposition parties and NGOs must not forget that even though some of its programs were later found to be unconstitutional, the fervently protested Far East trade deal pulled our country out of an insufferable economic recession. So the author is showing a precedent sometime in the past where there were a lot of protests for a particular deal, but it actually helped the country in coming out of a recession. Okay, the rebellious opposition parties and the NGOs could best defend their position against the author by pointing out that. So how could the parties who are rebelling against this particular law, financial law that is being rolled out, how can they best defend against the author? Which are the options will help them to best defend? Okay, let's look at this. Can they say option 1? The trade deal and the current law are relevant to different times and hence will not result in the same effects. Now, okay, what's the problem? Can you give me just one word from here which will sink this option? One word from this option which will end up sinking this option from becoming the right answer. I'm looking for some responses from people who are there in the live session. There is one word that is there in the sentence, that is there in statement 1. The moment you read that word, you got to be cautious. Okay, let me show you this. The trade deal and concurrent laws are relevant to different times and hence will not result. How do you know it will not result? You cannot say will not. It's very difficult to say that something will not happen. Are you God or what? How can you say it will not happen in the future? Right? So will not is a pretty strong word. I mean, pretty strong way of putting things across here. Now, had it been might not, then that will pass. But will not is not a way in which your right answer will be framed. So keep that in mind. Strong words like will not, nobody, everybody, will definitely happen. All these things are things that you have to treat with a pinch of salt. Okay. So hence will not result in the same effects. How do we know it will not result? Maybe it will result. Okay. So I can get rid of option 1 here. Let's look at the second one. The imminent economic recession at the time of the trade deal is not equal in severity to the one that led to the present law. First of all, we don't know about the severity here. Now, even if it is not equal in severity, still the present law might lead you to favorable results. So why should we not have the present law? Right? So option 2 still doesn't say why the present law might not give you favorable results, even if the situation is not of equal severity, about which we don't know first of all. Okay, that's why I would not go for option 2 as well. Let's look at option 3. The justification for the new financial law with the help of an old trade deal shows that the new law lacks either efficacy or grounds. How can you say that? Just because you're comparing it with something that happened in the past, how can we say that it lacks efficacy or grounds? Efficacy means being efficient in what it claims to do. Okay, so we cannot claim this, that it doesn't have efficacy or grounds, so we can get rid of that also. The trade deal is an exception and exceptions cannot be taken as examples. How do we know it is an exception? We don't know that it is an exception, right? So we can get rid of that as well. That's an example that is being quoted. Maybe there are other things like that. Let's look at the fifth one. The fact that a certain deal that faced protests has improved the economy does not prove that every such law will do so. That is the exact point, because this guy, the author, is saying that similar to the precedent, what is that precedent here? Far East trade deal. Similar to the Far East trade deal, which faced a lot of protests and ended up in actually benefiting the economy, the new financial law can also end up benefiting the economy, although people are protesting. Right. So this point says just because a deal that was protested in the past ended up in creating benefits for the country, that doesn't mean every deal that is protested or every law that is protested will actually end up in giving you positive results. So that is the best way to counter. Okay. One protested law or deal resulted in positive effects. That doesn't mean everything that is going to be protested is going to result in positive effects. So that is the best way to counter what the author is saying to defend this particular law. So the best answer we have is option 5 for those questions. Type 5 if you're clear with why we are going with option 5 for those questions. See, this actually is the point that I've discussed earlier, that if you have two things which are happening together, that only means that they are happening at the same time. That doesn't mean they are going to cause each other or one another. Okay, so paragraph does not say that it was protested against. Which was protested against? Opposition parties and a few NGOs have vehemently protested against the law, right? And the second one also, they have given it is fervently protested. It is given that both of them were protested. Okay, great. Let's move to the next question. Just give me a response once again, guys, so that I'm clear with the fact that everybody has understood. Type 2 if everybody is clear with the second question. Perfect. I'm going to the third question in the quiz. Let's move to the third question. The third question is up in the quiz. It's also up on your screen here. The pretty easy one actually. Let me see how many of you can get this right. Okay, the time is up. And let's check the status of the leaderboard after you guys have attempted this question. Good. Let's see how we can approach this. The government has introduced a new financial law for indiscriminate cuts in union budget. The general condition is very similar to what we discussed in the previous question. Opposition parties and a few NGOs have vehemently protested against the law, but its provisions are definitely justified. Rebellious opposition parties and NGOs must not forget that even though some of its programs were later found to be unconstitutional, this particular deal pulled the country out of economic recession. The author is countering the rebellious opposition parties and NGOs protesting against the new financial law by doing which of the following. Okay, now what is given regarding the opposition parties and NGOs? The opposition parties and a few NGOs have vehemently protested against the law. That's it. but its provisions rest are all what our author feels about it, right? Regarding the opposition parties and NGOs, only that much is given, that they vehemently protested against the law. And our author came up with a precedent from the past, which was also protested, but it resulted in something positive. Okay, so that's what the author is doing, is taking a precedent and trying to show something similar can happen here also. So the author is countering this by doing what? Let's look at the first one. Showing that the Far East trade deal also called for indiscriminate cuts. We don't know. In fact, he never told anything about the Far East trade deal calling for indiscriminate cut. He only told that it was also protested. So we can get rid of option 1. Implying an analogy between the law and the programs of a previously instituted. That's what he is trying to do. He is trying to draw an analogy between the new financial law, which is facing protests, and a previously instituted trade deal which also faced protests, and he is trying to say that this law could also result in something positive. So implying an analogy between the law and the programs of a previously instituted Far East trade deal looks like it could be our answer. Let's look at the other ones. Pointing out that the opponent's claims were, what were their claims first of all? Opponent parties have vehemently protested is what is given. It is not given that they claimed for anything in particular. So you cannot say opponent's claims were unfounded. There is no claim clearly given here. Showing that the opponent's conclusions based on false assumptions. Where are their assumptions even stated here? We cannot say that they were false assumptions because we don't even know what their assumptions are. Showing that the opponent's conclusions based on impractical assumptions. Again, we don't know about what their assumptions are. The only thing we know is they protested. So we can get rid of 5 also. The best answer we have is option 2, which says implying an analogy between the law and the programs of a previously instituted Far East trade deal. Type 2 if everybody is clear with why we are going with option 2 for this question. Okay, but let's look at this. But its provisions are definitely justified. See, that is what the author thinks. Author thinks that the government's provisions of the particular law, the author thinks that the provisions are justified. Okay, but what he is doing to counter them, he is coming up with the alternate example here. That's what he is coming up with to counter them. Right? So that's what the question is asking. The author is countering by doing what? By coming up with a previous example and trying to show that this law could also end up in similar results as the previous example. So that is why 2 is the best answer we have here. Is that clear, Chaitra? See, now if you ask, does the author believe that the assumptions were unfounded? The author might believe. Maybe the author believes, but we don't know from here. We are trying to find out how he is countering. How he is countering is clearly by bringing in a precedent. He is bringing in a precedent of a trade deal to show that this also can result in positive effects. That's it. So that's what he's trying to do to counter, and the question is asking for that. What he is doing to counter. Okay, let's move to the next question of the quiz, guys. The next question is up in the quiz. It's up on your screen here as well. Okay, the time is up. Let us see the status of the leaderboard after you guys have attempted this question. Okay, looks like some of you have got it wrong. Let's see how we can solve this one. Stronger intellectual property laws are needed in India to protect intellectual property from piracy. With that kind of protection of intellectual property, businesses and researchers will be motivated to invest more in the research and development of new products, services, and technologies, and in turn result in rapidly increasing business productivity and research work actualization. Which of the following can be logically inferred from the above information? Okay, let's look at the options one by one. First one, stronger intellectual property laws tend to benefit businesses and researchers and therefore financial institutions. Oh, that we don't know. We don't know about financial institutions which invest in them. Okay, that part you cannot infer on the basis of what is given. So you can close that option. Next one, increased productivity in business and research work actualization is likely to be accompanied by increased job creation. Regarding job creation, we don't know. You can get rid of that as well. It is given rapidly increasing business productivity and research work actualization. Regarding job creation, we don't have info. So you can get rid of that as well. Let's look at the third one. The loopholes of current intellectual property laws have been causes of ineffective research and low business innovation in the country. Okay, why would this not be the answer? Can anybody come up with a reason why this might not be the answer? Okay, the option says the loopholes of current intellectual property laws, right? And if you see, we are speaking in terms of stronger laws, weaker laws here, right? Now, do we know that the current intellectual property laws have have loopholes or not? Do we know that the current intellectual property laws have loopholes? What do you mean by loopholes? Loopholes means you can escape the law, or no, the law is not very strictly made that it is not strong. Okay, the law is not very strictly made that you can actually bypass that particular law. Maybe you don't have strong laws, you have weak laws, but they are fine for whatever they are trying to protect, but they are not trying to protect almost everything, right? So we cannot say the current intellectual property laws have loopholes. We cannot say that. You can say the weaker current intellectual property laws. Now, why are they weak? There are many reasons why they are weak. Maybe they are only protecting some set of intellectual property. Maybe they are only having provisions to claim under some conditions. Okay, so you cannot exactly say the current intellectual property laws have got loopholes. Okay, so loopholes is not the right way in which you can describe the current intellectual property law situation. That's the reason why that might not be the correct answer. Loopholes of current intellectual property laws have been causes of ineffective research and low business innovation in the country. So I'm keeping this aside. That's not the correct answer. Let's go forward and see if we find a better answer. Businesses and researchers might decrease or stall the levels of investment in the development of new products. What did this say? This say with the kind of protection of intellectual property, businesses and researchers will be motivated to invest more in the research. So they'll be motivated to invest more in the research. So this is more like a cost effect kind of a situation, right? So stronger intellectual property laws, SIPL, stronger intellectual property laws will motivate to invest more. Okay, if this, then that. So if these were implemented, then it will motivate businesses to invest more, and a lot of other things are also given. Now, I cannot say that if stronger intellectual property laws are not there, they will not be motivated to invest more, but I can say they might not be. I cannot say they will not be. I can say they might not be interested. That says that this could be the major cause. Okay, let's see how the statement goes. Businesses and researchers might decrease. Look at this. Trying to play it safe. Might decrease or stall. So if these laws were passed, they will invest more. If they are not passed, the negation of it means they might not invest more, which means they might stall or decrease. I think it's going in the right direction now. Businesses and researchers might decrease or stall the levels of investment in the development of new products. services and technologies unless there are strong intellectual property laws. This looks like it hits the thing correctly. This is something you can infer, and they have nicely covered themselves with might, so you cannot even say it is wrong. So if this is not there, the effect also might not come. You cannot say will not come. So 4 looks like a better answer than option 3. Let's look at 5. The lack of stronger intellectual property laws is the only cause. Immediately you can get rid of that. Only cause. We don't know whether that is the only cause or not. Okay, there could be other causes also. The lack of stronger intellectual property laws is the only cause for lack of innovation business. You cannot say that. So you can get rid of that as well. The best answer we have here is option 4 for this question. Type 4 if you're clear with why we are going with option 4 for this question. Great. Let's move to the next question. I'm moving to the next question in the quiz. Question number 5 is up in the quiz. We have 8 questions for today. So we are exactly halfway up in our quiz. Okay, this question came in XAT 2018. Let me see how you guys are able to answer this one. Okay, the time is up. Let's see the status of the leaderboard after you guys have attempted this question. Perfect. Good number of you seem to have got it right. Let's see how we can approach this one. Aarti is planning for higher studies and her future goals include working as a manager of a non-profit organization designed to provide assistance to underrepresented populations. Aarti researched the mission statements of various colleges and discovered that College X, a small private college with a fee of 8 lakhs per year, was dedicated to producing compassionate and curious leaders. Okay, is it in line with what she wants to become? Let's see what she wanted to become. Her future goals include working as a manager of a non-profit organization designed to provide assistance to underrepresented populations. And what is this college's mission? To produce compassionate and curious leaders. Looks like there is some kind of alignment in the mission that Aarti has and what the college is having. College Y, a large institute with a fee of rupees 9 lakh per year, promoted itself as a leading research facility. But that's not what is Aarti's goals, right? Aarti's goals is not to become a researcher. So this college has got a mission which is not in line with what Aarti's mission is. Aarti's goals are, you can call it. Based on her research, she decided to apply to college X rather than college Y. So right after reading it, I would think she chose college X because college X has got a mission statement which is in line with her mission. Now one might think, why not go with the price? Because you can ask, maybe she went for it because it's 8 lakhs per year. But if you look at it, they say RT research the mission statements of various colleges. She was doing a research on mission statements, and then she looked at a few mission statements and she chose something. So it's highly likely it is a mission statement which actually pulled her in towards that college. So let's look at the options here. We are supposed to find out the option which is going to be the most likely explanation for RT's decision for choosing college X. Let's see. Students apply to colleges with mission statements that align with their goals. Looks like that is the answer right away, because her goal was to work as a manager in a non-profit organization designed to provide assistance to underrepresented populations. And college X was dedicated to producing compassionate and curious leaders. So looks like the mission is something that could have pulled her towards college X. Let's look at the other options as well. Second one, the best colleges have the best mission statements. Hence, students select a college. What do you mean by best mission statement here? How do you rate a mission statement as best mission statement? So this is something that is very tricky to find out, like what is best mission statement. So that is ruled out. A large research university cannot prepare students for a career as a non-profit executive. You cannot say that. Maybe it can as well, right? So it might not be the fact that it is a large research university that took her away from college Y. It could be a large research university. At the same time, if they were also producing compassionate leaders like what X is doing, she would have gone with that. So the problem is not that it is a large research university. The problem is that is their primary goal. So they might not be concentrated on preparing compassionate leaders. So the problem is not that it is this. The problem is it is not what Aarti wanted. Okay, so you can get rid of that also. Students apply to smaller colleges that offer more personalized. The reason that Aarti would have gone for this is not because the college is small, because she was not doing a research on the size of the college. She was doing a research on the mission statements, right? So the size of the college might not be the best reason why Aarti went for that college. So we can get rid of that one. Next one, a direct relationship exists between a college's cost and the quality of the education it provides. Okay, in that case, she would have gone to college Y because it is charging more. Why did she go to college X? You can get rid of that as well. So the best answer we have is option 1. Please type 1 if everybody is clear with why we are going with option 1 for this question. This one came in XAT 2018. Let's move to the next question in the quiz. The next question is up in the quiz. And it is up on your screen here as well. This came in XAT 2017. This is 11%. Looks like 2. It's 11%. Okay, let's see the status of the leaderboard. Triveni is on top, followed by Pranay, Kabir, Charanya Kumari, and so on. Okay, let's look at how we can approach this question. The current trend indicates that food and vegetable inflations continue to be pain points. Food inflation rose to 7.79% in June from 7.4 to 7%. And the vegetable inflation rose to this from this. In the weeks ahead, the volatile food inflation will determine the course of overall inflation. For RBI too, the trend is a concern since under the current agreement with the government, if the inflation exceeds 11%, it will have to explain to the government why it could not be contained, the lower limit being 2%. Which of the following options is the most appropriate? The first paragraph states a cause and the second paragraph illustrates the effect. Okay, there is no clear cause effect kind of situation that we have here. The first is speaking about a situation where food inflation has risen. Similarly, vegetable inflation has also risen. And what is going to happen with respect to food can actually affect the overall inflation. Now, what is the cause here? They are just describing a particular situation, right? And RBI too also, the trend is a concern. Whatever has been happening is a concern since under the current government, it has to maintain some standards. So there is no proper cause effect kind of situation here. Okay, so we can get rid of option 1. Let's look at the second one. The first paragraph provides information. The second highlights potential application of the information. Where is the application and where is the information? Information is given here. Okay, these things are increasing. Where is the application of the information happening? There is no application of information in the second one. You can get rid of the second option for that. The first paragraph is an assertion. The second paragraph provides illustration of the assertion. Second paragraph is not just illustrating what is asserted in the first paragraph. Second paragraph is speaking about something very different from what is spoken in the first paragraph. So it is not a mere illustration of what was given in the first paragraph. So it is not just an illustration of the assertions given in the first paragraph. You can get rid of that. The first paragraph highlights inflation conditions. It does. And the second hints at RBI's inefficiency at managing the situation. Okay. It says it hints at, and it is given the trend is a concern. For RBI, the trend is a concern since under the current government, so on, so on, so on. So that's definitely a hint. If you say that it is a concern for RBI, it's definitely a hint that RBI is inefficient in managing the situation. That's why you're saying it's going to be a concern for RBI right now. So I'm going to keep it aside. I'm going to see if there is a better option anywhere. Let's look at the next one. The first paragraph highlights pain points. Second, remedy for them. Where is the remedy? There is no remedy that has been discussed. Okay, now some of you might have thought it doesn't hint at RBI's inefficiency in managing the situation, but that is the best you have got here. Rest all have some problems. You cannot say this is cause and this is effect. Okay, if what is he saying? The trend is a concern since under the current agreement with the government, RBI has to maintain this. Okay, that's not an effect. Okay, so the cause effect relationship doesn't work there. You cannot say there is application of information given in the first paragraph happening in the second paragraph. You cannot also say illustration of the assertions is happening in the second paragraph, and definitely not remedy. So the best we have got is this one, which is the first paragraph highlights inflation conditions definitely, and the second hints at, it can get away with this word hints at RBI's inefficiency because it says it is something that is of concern to the RBI. Okay, so the best option we have got here is option 4 because the other ones are completely out of line with what is happening in this question. Please type 4 if you're clear with why we are going with option 4. Although I would not say it's a great option, but that is the best option we have got. Type 4 if you're clear with why we are going with option 4 for this one. Great. So this one came in XAT 2017. Let's move to the next question. We are looking at the last 2 questions. We have already done 6 questions. 8 questions is what we have for today's quiz. So let's move to the 7th question. The 7th question is up in the quiz. And it is up on your screen here as well. This also came in XAT 2017. This question appeared in XAT 2017. Okay, let's look at the status of the leaderboard at the end of your attempts on this question. We have Pranay on top, very closely followed by Triveni, and then Deepika, Ravi Raman Sharat, Kabir, Apurv, Charanya Kumari, Pratyak Bharat, and Soumya Sumana Singh. Let's see how we can approach this one. Just a minute. Okay. On Friday morning, dieting supplement sales company Herbalife agreed to pay the US Federal Trade Commission a $200 million fine. The FTC said Herbalife cheated hopeful salespeople out of hundreds of millions of dollars with a high-pressure multi-level marketing scheme. Herbalife's stock received an immediate 15% increase. Following the above news, the company also announced that it would hire a second former FTC commissioner in a press release describing the terms of the settlement. Okay, this is some kind of a settlement, first of all. Next, which of the following options would imply that the 15% increase in stock price is fair? Basically, which option will explain you why this happened and why it is only expected to happen? Let's see. First one, acknowledgement of deceit increases the stock price of companies. Possible. Because when you go for a settlement, and end up paying some money and also agree to hire a second former FTC commissioner in your team, that kind of tells that you're agreeing that you have done something wrong. That's why you're going for settlement. You're even agreeing to their terms to hire a former FTC commissioner. Okay, so looks like it is definitely acknowledgement of deceit, increases the stock price of company. Possible, because the company is being very candid about what they did. They are accepting their mistakes. It is possible that this is the reason. Let's look at other ones. Compliance with court order. How do we know that it is even court order? It is given that it is a settlement. It could be a settlement which happened outside the court, right? It need not be a court order. So we cannot say it's a court order for which they complied to, and that's why the stock price is increasing. We can get rid of that. We don't know whether it's a court order or not. It's a settlement is what is given here. When fraudulent companies are exposed to their stock prices, the stock price increases. Okay, it doesn't look like they just got exposed, because initially you get exposed and then you try to defend it, and then later you come to a settlement where you agree for, okay, probably these are the problems on our side, so we go for settlement, right? So exposure is something which might happen pretty early, and then they would fight it or try and defend themselves. So I don't think this is a moment when they were exposed. See, it's not like you get exposed and immediately you go and start paying, right? So I don't think this is a moment of exposure where the stock price is actually increasing. So the problem is not about exposed. Okay. Next, cheating results in increase in company's stock price. So company might have been cheating from long back, right? It should have increased at that time. The thing is, now only they got caught and they accepted. So it is not cheating which results in increase in company stock price. Probably accepting that somebody has cheated will result in their stock price increase. That would have been fine. Okay, cheating is different from, cheating has a different timeline to accepting that you have been cheating, right? The timeline could be different. So not 4. Next one, when fraudulent companies are caught, their stock prices initially goes down. But we are trying to find an explanation for why this increased. Okay, so one could say they probably got caught earlier, it went down then, and then it is increasing. Hey, still you're not telling why it is increasing. If it initially goes down, it could probably even stay as a plateau there itself, right? So this doesn't explain why that 15% increase is happening. The only way you can think of this as even an answer is, okay, initially when it got caught, probably the news when it came out, initially the stock price could have gone down, right? And now they have agreed to some wrongdoing and they're going for a settlement. Now that doesn't explain why it will go up again. It could probably remain like that itself. That's the reason why I'll not go for 5. The best option we have is 4. Looks like this is the moment when they're acknowledging their deceit. Okay, because they agreed to pay the money, they agreed to hire some officer from ex-FTC commissioner, and they went for a settlement. Looks like they're agreeing for deceit. So the best option we have is option 1 for this question. Type 1 if everybody is clear with why we are going with option 1 for this question. Okay, see, the problem is some of these papers don't have official keys. So you might find slightly different answers in one or two PDFs that you can get from some places. Okay, but we definitely cannot go with court order, because when you say describing the terms of settlement, settlement can always happen outside court, and there are a lot of settlements which actually happen outside court. So we cannot say it is a court order. There is no proof to say it is a court order here. That's why I would definitely say 2 is not the right answer for this. Is that clear, Gandharva Kabir? Okay, there's one more question here. Navam is asking, if it was compliance with FTC, then is 2 the answer? So it's not even compliance with the FTC. Increases the company's stock price. They're not actually complying here. They're agreeing for something. They have not been complying for a long time. So compliance with FTC increases the company's stock price. That would still be a better option than 2. Definitely a better option than 2. But I would not say that will become the answer in that case. Okay. See, still we don't know whether they have complied. I mean, when you say compliance, they'll have to follow the rules of FTC. So far, what has happened is they have broken the rules, so they are paying fine. Now you'll have to wait and watch whether they're complying with the rules of FTC or not. So I would not even say that compliance has already happened. Is that clear? They have just agreed that they did not comply in the past and they are paying the fine. What they're going to do from now on, we'll have to see. Okay, great. Please type 7, guys. If you guys, I'm happy to have certain discussions with you guys if you come up with your questions, because there are definitely certain points that might linger in your mind. Please put them across. We can discuss them out so that it prepares you for a lot of other questions as well. Perfect. So we are heading towards the last question for today's quiz. Let's see how it goes. And before we do that, if you haven't liked this video, please like the video in case you like the way the session is going. It helps us to reach a lot of students. And probably that is the only way in which we can reach a lot of students on YouTube, if you guys respond to the video. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. It will give you notifications on the live sessions that we do regularly. Okay, up to the last question of today's quiz. Let's see what will be your final standing in today's quiz. Oh, this is a tricky one, guys. Let me see how many of you can get this right. If you're getting this right, you're really good. Great, the time is up. This is a pretty tricky question. Let me see how many of you have got this right. Okay, a lot of you had a decrease in your marks. Nothing to feel bad. I said it's a tricky one. It's good that you still went for the question and did not play it safe. Okay, because you could have played it safe by not attempting the question at all. Let's see how we can answer this one. A planet with 20% or more of its mass made up of water cannot have any freshwater environment on it, as bodies of fresh water are produced by the accumulation of natural precipitation on land. For complex life forms to survive in a planet, the planet should have some freshwater environment, as complex life forms require phosphorus to be present in absorbable form in their environment. Okay, now there is something that you guys have to notice here. Phosphorus should be present in absorbable form in the environment. Phosphorus could be present, but if it is not present in absorbable form, then there is a problem. So there could be loads of phosphorus, but still complex life forms might not come up if it is not available in absorbable form. So the key here is absorbable form. Okay, I am assuming some of you would have already got what is the right answer. Let's go forward. Hence, if 20% or more of the planet's total mass is water, the planet cannot support complex life forms. Okay, so let me just put it here, like whatever is the cause effect chain, let's put it here. Planet with 20% or more of its mass made of water. So 20% or more of mass made of water. Now that would imply what? That would imply it cannot have any freshwater environment. So this would imply no freshwater environment on it, as bodies of freshwater produced by the accumulation of natural precipitation on land. Okay, why is that so? Why is this the case? Because from here I can infer, because accumulation of natural precipitation on land is not possible, because accumulation of natural precipitation on land, let's say it is not possible. Because of this reason, you will not have freshwater environment. So this is the link here, guys. For complex life forms to survive in a planet, the planet should have freshwater environment, which will not be possible if this is the case, as these complex life forms require phosphorus to be present in absorbable form in the environment. Now let's look at the options. Simple life forms require less phosphorus than complex life forms. We don't know anything about simple life forms actually. We only have discussed about complex life forms. What will happen to simple life forms, we don't know. So I can get rid of this option. Next one. If complex life forms don't exist in a planet, the planet will have 20% or more of its weight made up of water. Now I cannot say that, because if I have a situation where there is a cause that leads to an effect. Okay, so a planet with 20%, if complex life forms don't exist in a planet, the planet will have 20% or more of its weight made up of water. So now this effect is, cause here is this, planet having 20% or more of this as water. And as per the paragraph, the effect is complex life forms cannot exist. But you cannot say effect will imply cause. Cause implies effect is what is given in the paragraph. You cannot say effect implies cause. It's more like our general example. If it rains, the road will be wet. But whenever the road is wet, I cannot say it has rained. Right? So cause implies effect. If that is what is given, you cannot go ahead and say effect will always imply cause. That's what is given here. If complex life forms don't exist in the planet will have 20% or more. Maybe not. Maybe there is some other reason why they are not existing. Okay, so I cannot go for option 2 as well. Let's go to option 3. A planet with 20% or more of its weight made up of water can support simpler. Again, we don't know about simpler life forms. We only are discussing about complex life forms. Maybe simpler life forms have certain other requirements which are even complex than our complex life forms. So we don't know about simpler life forms. So I can get rid of that. A planet with 20% or more of its weight made up of water will have little or no phosphorus. I am assuming that most of you would have gone for this option. Please type 4 if you are one of those who went for option 4 in the quiz, whichever is option 4. A planet with 20% or more of its weight made up of water will have little or more phosphorus. That, see, if you're going for that option, it's not that you're bad. I mean, you are good. The thing is that it's set as a trap here. Okay, if you've reached till here. Now, let's see why. Why will that not be the inference? Because phosphorus should be present in absorbable form. So I can say a plant with 20% or more of its weight made up of water will have little or no phosphorus in absorbable form. It might have a lot of phosphorus, but it might have little or no phosphorus in absorbable form. So that is the trap that is set in option 4. So it might have a lot of phosphorus, but it might not have enough phosphorus required in absorbable form. That's why you cannot go for option 4. Okay, please type C if everybody is clear with why 4 is not the answer. That's the main point in this question. Great. Now with that, we have got only one option left. Let's look at that option. A planet with 20% or more of its weight made up of water might have little or no dry land. Okay, we know that if it is 20% or more of its weight, I mean, if a planet has 20% or more of its weight made up of water, it will have no freshwater environment. Why? Because accumulation of natural precipitation on land is not possible. So why would accumulation of water that is raining not be possible? Maybe because of these reasons. It might have little or no dry land. So if dry land itself is not there, if it's all wetland, if it's all marshy land, where means already water is there in that land, right? And that will not be fresh water. So how will we have freshwater environment if the land itself is always marshy everywhere? So the best inference I can get here is a planet with 20% or more of its weight made up of water might have little or no dry land. Again, they played it safe by using might have here. So you cannot even attack that option on the basis of that. So the best answer we have is the option that is there in the end, 5th option. Please type 5 if everybody is clear with why we are going with option 5 for this question. Awesome, great. So did you guys enjoy solving critical reasoning questions today? I saw that good number of you were able to get the questions right. I am feeling good about it. Yeah, mass and weight are not the same. But in this case, this is the best we have got. Perfect. So I'll catch up with you guys in the next session. Okay, make sure you practice good number of questions. One of the best places to solve critical reasoning questions is you can download critical reasoning questions of GMAT. Download critical reasoning questions of GMAT and start solving questions there. You will see some very good, tricky quality questions. And then you can always discuss that in our groups to get the views of other people. Great. So I'll catch up with you guys in the next session. Make sure, try GMAT OG. OG is the official guide. Try the latest GMAT OG and go through all the critical reasoning questions. You will see good varieties of critical reasoning questions there. Okay. And if you haven't liked the video, please do like the video. I'm just reminding you again and again in case you haven't liked yet. And I'll catch up with you guys in the next session. See you guys. Good night.